Brightest blessings to one and all. I wanted to do a video today about the different styles of Rider-Waite-Smith decks that are now on the market. I've met a lot of people who are interested in the tarot, but they don't like the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith decks. They have problems with the imagery and things. And the tarot practice is experiencing a huge boom right now where there's all kinds of decks coming out. And while there are very intriguing decks that play around quite a bit with the traditional imagery, um, if you're a beginner, it's best to start with a deck that is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith um, imagery and plan, but they have modernized it. Now, it wasn't my first learning deck. Um, I started learning with the Llewellyn Tarot, which has a very strong Celtic theme to it. The imagery is gorgeous. Every card has a character related to Celtic mythology and fables and things. And while the cards were gorgeous, it was easy to get caught up in all the backstory of the characters because all of that played into the underlying meaning of the card. So, and I also lost my teacher. So when I started again, tried again, I got a new deck and a book and was working on it myself. And so this is the deck I got. It was new at the time. It's the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. And of course, you can see with the Fool on the cover that, and of course, the Ace of Wands, that this is in keeping with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. In fact, I suspect that Radiant Wise Spirit was chosen because it has the same initials as Rider-Waite-Smith. Um, but I liked this deck better than other RWS decks I'd gotten because they were very traditional. The colors were kind of sharp, um, bright, and they had borders. And when I was first reading, when I first started following people and getting active in some of the readers groups, people would complain about the borders on their cards. And as a newbie, I did not understand. It didn't bother me. But as I started really getting interested in the cards and invested in them, I found out that I too wasn't that crazy about borders. And this deck, of course, is full picture. So I liked this deck really well. And I liked the colors in this deck better than the others. It was the colors and things were kind of antique-y, I think, so that really appealed to me. So that's the one I really started working with and doing deep dives with. Um, and of course, I keep it in this nice case. This is a case you can get off of Amazon that's basically sold to gamers for their Pokemon cards and things like that, but it fits the Rider-Waite-Smith deck very well. So I would use that deck to work with my readings personally. And the first exercise I ever did in the book I got to work with, I shuffled my deck for the first time. Well, I had to really work with it to get it mixed up properly. And but then when I shuffled it to actually do the exercise, the first card I flipped over was the Hierophant, and that was meaningful for me because my birth card is the Hierophant, so I have a connection to that card. So I knew that this deck was meant for me, that we had a connection right off the bat, and I enjoyed working with it, for myself personally. And I started doing readings, but people, um, well, they were readings, but they were one card draws. And I highly recommend for beginners to do that, to find a group, particularly online, that will let them, take, an hour or something during the day and just draw a single card for anybody who would like one. Uh, because that gets you working with the cards. It's different from just drawing a card each day and doing that, because that's also a suggestion for people, draw a card every day. Well, I mean, that is good. You should be doing that. But when you're trying to learn, you want to be interacting with the cards frequently. And I found that by doing, an hour of one card draws, I was seeing lots of cards at one time. I was seeing them more often. And with it being online, it wasn't face to face. There wasn't a lot of pressure. And if I needed to, I could pick up the little white book and refresh my memory on what this card was supposed to mean. So when I was doing one card draws, though, there were people in there that didn't like certain cards. They don't like the devil, they don't like the tower, they don't like death. And so I thought it would be good to have a deck that was less threatening. Um, and I came across the Happy Tarot, and I absolutely adore this deck. As you can see, here is one of the card images. And all of these images are just so freaking adorable. Um, here is now see the card up here. This has a candy cane, and this represents wands in this deck. This, of course, is the Knight of Cups. You can tell because he has a cup in his hand, but up here there's like a little, it actually looks like a covered dish, but that's representing cups for this deck. And so these cards were much more non-threatening. I mean, here is death. And, so it has all the same elements in it that the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith has, but it is laid out in a more fun matter. And, as you get to learn these cards, death doesn't mean you're going to die. And of course, here's the tower. And so, it was just a lot less threatening. Um, here's the devil. It's more fun. It's even, like appealing and to children. Um, but also, what I loved about the little white book is that every card is given a happy affirmation. And this was important to me because it showed me that even the particularly negative cards that have been, well, they've been traditionally considered negative, can have a positive spin, you know? And I think that's important to offer for the readings. Like right here, we have the devil card. So there, the happy affirmation for the devil card is, you can find happiness by breaking the chains that bind you. So, the one card draws were a lot more or fun. There was a lot more activity with them by using the Happy Tarot, and people didn't freak out when they got those quote unquote negative cards. But those are the two decks that I used predominantly when I was learning and getting a better handle on reading. And my Happy Tarot, that came in a tuck box, and a tuck box is just the same type of box that a regular deck of playing cards would come in. It just has the flip top lid, and they wear out pretty easy. So I got a tarot wrap that I keep my Happy Tarot in. These are nice because it has this nice long tail. So actually you can, if you're doing 3-card readings, the pouch is good for just like throwing in your purse or backpack or something. You can take it with you, and it keeps the cards nice and snug so they don't, rub around and get worn. But it also gives you a place that you can just lay out cards for 3, maybe 4 card readings. You might if you use this part too, you might actually get 5 cards out on it. So that's what I use for my Happy Tarot to carry it around in. Now, but these were all basically straightforward Rider-Waite-Smith clones, so to speak. It's basically the same imagery. It's just reinterpreted a little bit, made cutesy. The more modern decks are the Lightseer's Tarot. I think these are probably the top 3, in my opinion. The Modern Witch Tarot, when this came out, when the Lightseers came out, it's hugely popular. It's still hugely popular. The Modern Witch Tarot deck is also very, very popular. And this one is now a mass market deck. I backed it on Kickstarter, but this is now the mass market edition, so it's very easy to find. But this is also a more modern version of the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. This Chris Ann is a phenomenal artist. She has 2 other tarot decks. I don't think they have gained as much popularity as her first one. We have the Muse Tarot and also the Tarot of Curious Creatures. They're all by the same artist. This is basically kind of straight artwork. This is more of a collage type of deck, and this is 2, whereas this one's a little more funky because it's got animal heads on the human beings. And I had gotten these first 2, and then this one came out, and I am a collector, unfortunately. So because this was another Chris Ann deck, I wanted to get it, but I looked at pictures online, and I'm like, these images are just kind of funky. It doesn't really, but I kept getting drawn back to this deck, so I ended up getting it. I'll give you a quick look at some of the images. I'm not going to do a full flip through because I don't want to spend that much time. This video would be hours long if I did that. But anyway, for the Lightseer's Tarot, you have a nice chunky guidebook. These are the backs of the cards, really pretty. And this is the imagery style of this deck, and it is very modern. Here's Judgment. It is very modern, very pretty. 2 of Swords here. So you have the same theme going on in the card, but the imagery is very different. And just The artwork is gorgeous. It's more inclusive. We have, all kinds of things. See, here's the hanged man. It still says hanged man, but, you know, it's a woman. Uh, and here's your knight. Just the imagery is gorgeous. It is much more modern. It's much more inclusive. It's I don't know. It's folksy. I'm not real sure what to say, but anyway, this is a hugely popular deck. Um, and it appeals to a lot of people because of the modern take on the Rider-Waite. Here's the Muse. It also has a nice chunky book. And also the boxes are gorgeous. They are 2-part boxes. That's inside the lid. This is inside the bottom portion. Just really gorgeous. And the colors are fantastic on this. Here's the back side. You can see it's still got the pyramid similar to the Light Seers. But like I said, this is more of a collage-y type deck. Oh, this one's even on the side. So this one's a little less conventional because you've got your collage type imagery. And the suits are a little bit different. This is 2 of voices, which I would assume is swords. And you have your 4 of materials, which would be the 4 of pentacles. Ace of materials, 3 of materials. Okay, this is 10 of emotions, so I would say that would be 10 of cups. And this is 5 of inspiration, so I would say that is the 5 of wands. So, if this, and here's the tower, which is a very different type of imagery for that. So, if this art style speaks to you, I mean, it's a lovely deck. The only problem for a beginner would be that she has renamed the suits, so you would have to keep in mind with that. And once you're really familiar with the suits, like I am, when you see it, you can kind of guess, okay, voices basically sound waves and air, and the swords are air, so voices is probably air. And next is the Curious Creatures, and the cards are all jumping out at me. Okay. Again, she has a nice chunky guidebook for it. Here's the backs of these cards. You can see there's kind of a theme going on. She has that diamond pattern just done up a little bit differently. And so this, there's the first card. That's how you can see. She has 2 different full cards. This is one of them. I don't use that one. But this, again, is another 2-part deck. Or a box. But anyway, these are... Now, the 9 of Swords, the imagery is very in keeping with the Rider-Waite-Smith. The same idea is coming across, but you can see the person is very different. And so, it's in a way, a little less binary kind of, because there's no human faces. Oh, that's an interesting strength card. Um, so, but anyway, that is the Tarot of Curious Creatures deck. So, and like I said, it's now the suits are the same as the traditional. So as far as learning with it in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, it would be fairly easy. But the artwork is not something that appeals to everybody. The Modern Witch was one that came out on Kickstarter originally. I didn't find out about it, I don't think, until it came out as a mass market deck. There was a lot of hubbub about it when it did. This is a 2-part deck or a box. It slips out. This fits inside of this. That's a little troublesome because the bottom always wants to slip out. It has a nice little little white book, quote unquote. It's hardcover. There's not really any more pages to it than a typical little white book, but it's hardcover, so it's going to hold up being kept in the box with the cards a little bit better than your traditional paperback little white books. But this is a deck that was really striving for inclusivity, so it has changed the images here. The full card. Now there is a extra card included for this Ten of Swords, which is extremely appropriate in my opinion. Everything is fine. That's so that encapsulates the Ten of Swords very well, I thought. An Eight of Cups. So here you've got different representations than what is traditionally on the Rider-Waite-Smith cards. Different body types. It's much more inclusive. So people do like this deck because of that. But yeah, just that. Slide that back in. So yeah, that's the only annoying thing, is that will tend to slide out. Now, the same publisher took on the This Might Hurt deck. It was also a Kickstarter deck. I backed this one on Kickstarter. I got 2 of the Kickstarter decks because they had different edges. And like I said, I collect. It's a curse. But anyway, so they the publisher that took on the Modern Witch after its Kickstarter also picked up This Might Hurt. Now they learned from the Modern Witch deck. This one is also a sliding deck. However, it has a magnetic closure on the bottom. Oh, that's cute. I didn't see that before. So the bottom of the slide out deck blends with the flap there. So that makes it much nicer because it does not slide out. I wish they would redo the Modern Witch box and change it. So now it slides out. Box is really nice. Now this one I've just bought this as a mass market edition to have in my collection, so I have not taken these cards out before. That's why this cardboard spacer is in there. It helps keep the cards from moving along. Now, like Curious Creatures, I don't know if I can get it out. This has a nice chunky book. And get the plastic off here. So like you can see, I have not used these yet. And much like the Modern Witch, it's more inclusive. You know, the imagery is in the same vein as the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it has a modern twist. I really like the Chariot card here. And so there's, you know, more gender bending here, more inclusivity. Um, a little bit of, I like that Tower card. So, you know, just some different takes on things. So, you know, body positivity, different things like that. So, that is the This Might Hurt deck. And that is also very I don't know that it's as popular as the other two because it came out later. The Modern Witch was kind of the first one that did that more inclusivity type of thing. But another fun deck for people is the Everyday Witch Tarot. This comes in a big box, you can see, and it includes a nice big guide. I mean, this is a full-size book. The deck is in here and it has the thing, but I don't keep it in there because that's difficult. And the nice thing in here is there's a note section after each one of the cards. So, you know, as you're working with it, you can just jot down some notes. You know, keywords, patterns that you see coming up in your reading, just whatever. So yeah, this is a big box. You can't really carry that around. So I got a wrap for it, and it came with this little pentacle charm. So that helps me designate what deck is in this wrap. And people really enjoy this deck because it is cute. It is whimsical. It's all witch themed, so there's a witch in every card. You get the same vibe of the same stuff is going on in the card as it is in your traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but the imagery is different. You know, this is a Four of Wands. This is celebratory. You know, and you can see all the cats involved. I think there's usually a cat in each card. I think. Well, most of them, I guess. Here's again a motorcycle for the Chariot. Cat riding shotgun. So yeah, this is also another very popular deck. This one's been out for quite a while. It predates the Light Seers and the Modern Witch. But it's fun. And, you know, if you want to learn the Rider-Waite-Smith system in a more fun way, and you know you want a witchy vibe that's kind of whimsical, there's the Fool card. This would be your go-to. Plus it has that nice big book that goes along with it. And the nice thing about this deck, if you would like to start working with a deck and also use an oracle deck, because some people will blend the two decks for readings, it does have a companion oracle deck. Now, the only thing about this is that the oracle cards, as you will see, it has a nice book, are a lot larger than what the cards are. And I don't really like them being such huge differences, but oh yeah, this is the back. I forgot to show you the back of those cards. Um, but you know, you have an oracle deck that will it's a companion deck. It'll go alongside of it. Some people like to pick, maybe throw out an oracle card for the week, you know, as the theme, and then do a reading of 3 cards for closer. But anyway, so that's the nice thing about the Everyday Witch Tarot, is that it has a companion oracle deck if you wanted to start doing readings that combined the two. Now, like I said, there's all kinds of decks out there. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you know, me being a crocheter, the Yarn Tarot was one I certainly wanted. The Unfolding Path is another very recent one. That was also a Kickstarter that has made it over to mass market. I haven't really, like I said, I'm a collector. Now, this is one that slides out from the bottom, but it doesn't come out quite so easily as the Modern Witch. So, and it has a hardback book, about the same size as a traditional little white book, but this is, it's themed for basically all the fiber arts. So there will be some crochet, there will be some knitting. I like this because you've got your spindle for the weaving. So, you know, there's always these cute decks that come out that have a theme of some sort. So, you know, if you have a particular okay, now the thing I don't like about this deck is that it is what I call a pip deck, and that means here's your 9 of Pentacles. There, all it is having 9 pentacles in the deck or on the card, and you don't have the imagery that the Rider-Waite-Smith has for the 9 of Pentacles. The Rider-Waite-Smith, the 9 of Pentacles, has a lady standing in front of a fruit garden with a falcon on her hand. So, yeah, you've got more imagery there. So, like the Yarn Tarot is a themed deck, and you will have a lot of cat tarot decks because cats and tarot just go together like peanut butter and jelly. Um, this is my particular favorite cat deck because it's got a 2-part box. It's got foil on it, so it's a very attractive box. It's got a nice thick book, but these are really cute. The Magician is really cute. You've got your High Priestess, the Empress. I'm not sure about the Cone, but here's the Emperor. Hierophant, which is pretty cool. The Lovers. Now, what sold me on this as being the perfect cat tarot deck is the Death card. The Hermit. Isn't that perfect as a Hermit card? You got Justice, the Hanged Man, and Death. Is that not perfect for a cat-themed tarot deck? That is definitely. So yeah, that sold me on the cat tarot. So, but I mean, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of cat tarot decks. So if you really want to work with a cat-themed deck, there's plenty out there for you to look at. Okay, back to the Unfolding Path. I have not really looked at these cards yet. It's got a 2-part box. Got another nice chunky book. Oh, there's the inside of that one. Oh, it's got a sleeve on the cards. Okay. Here's the back side. Isn't that gorgeous? And then, of course, here's your Fool, your Magician, your High Priestess, the Empress. So this, again, is a more modern take, more inclusive. You've got a variety of spiritual themes going on in here. So it's just very, very nice. 4 of Cups. Okay, so it's not a pip deck. It's got fully illustrated minor arcana. So that's very nice. So that's a very pretty deck. Kind of a watercolor kind of thing. But very inclusive, diverse. Now, here's one you'll like. This is the Modern Love Tarot. This is from a private, independent publisher. Ethany is a fairly well-known tarot reader on the internet. She has a YouTube page. This is one of her decks that she created. She works with artists to come up with the imagery that she likes. This is a different type of deck where it just opens up like this. It's got a magnetic closure. This is the backs of the cards. That's absolutely gorgeous. You know how I was talking about little white books or whatever? This baby comes with quite the manual. So there's a lot in here that you can learn from. You've got, here comes with the 10 of Cups, and it has the general love meaning. It has your keywords right here. A general love meaning, single. If you're single, here's your reading for that card. If you're on the dating scene, here's one. If you're in a committed relationship, here's an interpretation with a card. If you're struggling in your relationship, and if it's time for the relationship to end, you've got another. So it gives you the full gamut of how to interpret the cards. And in the front, there are some spread ideas. So very hefty book. Nine of Pentacles, a really nice image there. Eight of Wands catches the urgency. It's just very nice. Like that Magician card. Yeah. It also works on being inclusive, diverse, um, touching on all lifestyle choices. Uh, and the cover on, or the picture on the top, this is the lover's card. So you've got inclusivity, um, and diversity. Ah, that was the so yeah. So this is a more, like I said, this one, this is a, it's called the Modern Love Tarot, so it's kind of focusing more on modern style relationships, and what you encounter in the world today as far as that goes. So that's a very, I use that deck generally in February for readings, um, because it's more open-minded and inclusive. But like I said, these decks are probably your most popular, some of the best with working to learn the Rider-Waite-Smith style without using the Rider-Waite-Smith. Um, so these would be my top four choices for people wanting to learn the tarot, uh, and learn the RWS system without using a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So, hope this was helpful and informative to you. If you enjoyed it or appreciated the information, please just leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. Love any kind of feedback that you have. Love to engage in a conversation with you. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel so you can see new things that I'm coming out with. I try to do flip throughs. Also, if you want a complete flip through of any of these decks, let me know. I'm completely open to doing that. It's just if I flip through every card and every one of these decks would be here forever. So I can do them as separate videos and flip through all the cards so you can see. I mean, that has really helped me. I mean, there are other people that do flip throughs generally of new decks coming out, and that has helped me decide a lot of times whether or not this is a deck I really want to acquire or I can do a pass on. Because, like I said, I have a disease. It's called deck collecting, and you see a new deck coming out, it's like, ooh, I've got to see that, I've got to have that. But once they flip through it, so a lot of times I'll be like, no, it's pretty similar to what I already have, or I'm not really vibing with this imagery, or I find out it's a pip deck. I really just cannot vibe with pip decks. So once I know that deck has pips, I mean, and it really, really is really hard sometimes, because a lot of times the major arcana is gorgeous and you love it, but the pips just kill it. And there's just, it's not worth having a deck that basically I can just use the major arcana out of. But like I said, flip throughs are very helpful. Um, and so I would be willing to do that if there's a particular deck you want to see and you can't find a flip through anywhere else, or you just want my take on it. I would be happy to do it. So I'm working on some things to do in the near future. So if you subscribe and turn notifications on, you will be alerted when those come out. And I hope to see you again soon. Blessed be.